Okay, hi, welcome everyone to ARTIVISM, the power of art for social transformation. We are in our fourth season. This is the second so far, and we have people coming in. Carolina, you may be able to admit them. If not, I will be on the lookout. Welcome, Krystyna Sadej. Krystyna Sadej is from Canada. She is an accomplished contemporary tapestry artist whose unique experimental work incorporates a dynamic range of textures, designs, colors, and materials. We've seen many of them as we've spoken to Ms. Sadej over the past few months. They are truly amazing. I don't know how you work with the weight of all that, and you will see the audience here today, the materials that she works with. Her use of recycled materials transcends art activism, creating beauty out of environmental waste. Krystyna's works of woven art have been exhibited in Asia, Canada, Australia, the US, Poland, and many other countries in Europe. Welcome, Ms. Sadej.
Thank you so much. It's a joy. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel honored because I love your company. I love what you guys are doing. It's amazing. So I should, would you like me to say something about myself more?
Yes, if you'd like, please.
Okay, so I just wanted to add that although my work is a reflection of concern for the nature and ecosystem, it is also a combination of thoughts, feelings, and experiences of my life that are a result of my life in the universe. So I am a mother, and like first of all, wife and mother and grandmother. I have 4 children, wonderful children who are my masterpieces, and I have 5 grandchildren and my wonderful husband who is going to do presentation too in November. So I'm not going to talk about him. So yeah, I live in Navan, that is a little town on the outskirts of Ottawa, Canada. I am a little bit isolated, and especially during time of COVID, but at the same time, like isolation sometimes is important. So you can produce more art or create, I would say, because I don't like this word production. So I am inspired by universe. I am inspired, I can say I am inspired by nature. I love iceberg and I like glaciers. And that's, and of course I'm inspired by material, recyclable material. So let me start my presentation with slides, and later on maybe you have questions, and during this presentation you can maybe you can hear more about what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to share screen now. Yeah, so this is like I wanted to show you that mostly I work on the square frame for maybe 20 years now, but not only, of course, but I can use the frame also for, not for circular pieces like this one behind me, but it's still the same frame. Or another one, I have a little bit bigger one. So, but if I make the circular pieces, the work goes all the way from one angle to another, and then it goes like in circular motion, kind of. So, okay, this is very sad picture. I hope, I mean, I won't torture you this because you probably see this very often. That's always, heartbreaking to see that. But the question is, what is recycled material? So it is discarded product that was already primary use. And it is so sad to see that already used plastic ends up in the dumps. But what is even worse, it ends up in the oceans and beaches. And discarded plastic not only destroys environment, but the polluted beach also create a serious health risk for people and animals from plastic trash, not to forget about the pesticides, oil, and different human trash, even septics, So, the bags degrade into microplastic and release chemicals into the ocean. The plastic products floating at sea contribute to diseased leatherback sea turtles, fish, sharks, dolphins, and other sea animals, whales. Even, you see that whales and that the stomach is full of different kind of plastic. So, like I started, we didn't talk 20 years ago much about climate change or pollution with plastic, but I was like even curious, and I wanted to do something from recycling that didn't go to recycling bin. So like, for example, like bottles from Coca-Cola, or, for different kind of soft drinks, which I don't drink much, but, I would get from friends, and occasionally I would drink. So this is like, you can see, can you see my, what I'm showing? Okay. So for example, this is the top of which bottom is the top of the bottle. And I even save some, like the bottom is actually on the bottom. And this is woven. So I made like little cuts, and I added warp, and then I painted over sometimes and sometimes not. So I collected because I don't have anymore. I collected watches too, and they are in recycling. It was plastic baskets, which I got from friends. I have several pieces like that called Looking for the Lost Time. And I also made several pieces with my children's, from my children's clothes and fabric, and donated fabric from my friends. So this is one of the pieces. It's called Flowers About the Sofa. So this is like, at that time I made sometimes things that you can say what it is. Not realistic, but semi-realistic. But now I'm doing pure abstraction. But I also collected braids of my girls, and this is like Kasia's braid, Veronica's, my daughter Justina, and even the small ones, because I wanted to have 2 braids. So I was blonde at that time, but this is my wig. This is the wig that was made of from my hair. I had red hair at that time, and I donated my hair to my mother-in-law, who never wore it because she passed away before, so unfortunately. So I got it back. And I also collect CDs, and first it started with videotapes, and now with CDs and DVDs, and that this is like what sometimes I worry, if I finish this kind of material, what I don't know, there will be something else again, new technology, like who is using this? And, that's why I think it's really nice to make art if you can, because it's very easy to attach a warp and you can use anything, just to weave. And plastic is like everywhere, and like plastic bags, and, and of course, CDs. And I also collect pop can stabs. This is my collection. I have even more now. My friends from Poland collect that, and my friends in Canada, and my family, of course, if they found some. And I was stopped. That was funny thing, because I was stopped at the border, the customs, and they were like, "Why are you taking this to Canada?" I had like few kilograms with me, half of the luggage. So that was funny, but they let me go and have it. So this is a sample, how it looks like, the small sample. You can see like transparent plastic foil on there. And, the shine and the colors, I have different colors now, not only like mostly silver, but I have also different colors. So this is also one of my pieces called the Meadow. And I collect also, of course, the lampshades, and this is the sample, how you do it. And this is the finished product that I'm proud of, because it was awarded Prima Design in Italy several years ago. And this one, the hat, also was made called Tibet's Echoes, also was made of on the skeleton of the lampshade. But I have, of course, I had more. And I also collect different hoops and hula hoops, and you know, even my husband made me the one bigger hoop that was made of plastic tube, kind of. And so there are some samples. This one was on Interface, and was on the show in Canada and Great Britain. It had the meaning of echo. And, you know, this one is actually, you know, this one is a three-dimensional hoop, and this one is much bigger, but they look kind of the same. So this one is on small hula hoop made, and this one is just on the big hoop, 50 by 50 centimeters. And there are some samples here too. You know, like very often I make small circular weaving and my mandalas called healing mandalas. I mostly create when I'm somewhere not at home. So, you know, like I spent time with my mom, for example, 3 years ago, and, you know, so I wanted to be with her all the time almost. So I made several pieces and I gave as gift. There's 2 only I brought, but I made like 20, believe or not, and some on CDs. So this on the left side, there is the biggest hoop, the biggest circular weaving I made. It's called Cosmic Music, and it belongs to the pianist Nadia, who is Kasia, my Katarzyna, my daughter's very good friend. They performed together, and I will mention that later too. And this one is also on the right side, kind of big. And they are all in the on the show in Warkworth, Ontario, where this Canadian Tapestry Center. So they are in the gallery, beautiful gallery right now. And one of my first pieces, I just wanted to mention that you would see myself on the picture with my tapestries, not only because I want to show myself, that's too, just kidding, but I want to show how big tapestry is. So in fact, this one, you can see on the left side, but I am standing on the step ladder, kind of big one. So this one is quite big. It's called The Void That Binds. And it's also on the show now at this Canadian Tapestry Center. And also this one is called Traveling Through Space, because the cosmos inspires me a lot. And yeah, so it's made also of videotapes and gold metallic thread. And another, my pride, that is tapestry that was awarded Silver Award in China, beginning of this year. And I was really happy, you know, it's called like the hope. And you see the detail here. And I was really proud because they had 2,000 applications. So it was really nice to get this award, you know. And this one was on the show in Poland, and it's also in catalog. And it's funny because I couldn't send because it was so big, and I was afraid that it won't go on time because I had trouble recently with my pieces which didn't come on time. So they were kind enough, they printed my work on a very nice board. So it took, I'm so happy. Yeah, so this is like, you can see very detail of this big one. Also, you know, I love the metallic thread. I like to add a little bit sparks to my art, and I love the way that it shines, and it makes my life happier. Although sometimes, you know, the pieces are dark, but still are very shiny. So this is in this show, which is right now. So I'm here, that was true after the vernissage, I changed a little bit, and we had some photos, but I didn't get all. I could show you more, but maybe sometime, or maybe you can see on Facebook some videos. Oh, this is the piece that was advertised, that advertised my presentation, which also got an award in China, another show, and got Excellence Award. And this one is kind of a newer piece. It's called Out of the Shadow, and it has so many things. It's like videotapes and popcorn stabs and different metallic thread. And another piece, my triptych that was on the show. I was invited, so I made especially for this show. It's in the Muskegon Museum of Art in Michigan. Maybe you guys familiar with that. It was amazing exhibit with many international artists, and it was so nice to be there in present and meet all these wonderful artists. And now we're coming to my love, and it's like sad and happy because I made some art, but glaciers are melting around our planet in such a horrible speed, like recently, two glaciers that were joined together in Switzerland, they melted to the ground. It's so sad. And what is happening in Asia, like the flood and tornadoes and hurricanes, and it's so sad, and this is like, for some people, watching glaciers and melting or being broken into the sea, which they made out of this, they are made the icebergs, right, that are floating on the sea. But it's kind of a little bit tragic that people, this is like tourist attraction. So they made money out of this, that people can watch how glaciers are melted, or icebergs actually. Yeah. So that's what I'm reading sometimes, so I couldn't forget. While making art out of recycled materials, I wanted to raise awareness for the plight of our world's glaciers, magnificent creations. So this is like this called Magic Glacier. It's inspired actually by my daughter, who was in Switzerland, because before I was making mostly icebergs, in which I was inspired from icebergs from Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada. But now my daughter inspired me because she was singing in the nature in Switzerland last year and 2 years ago. And I just wanted to make something that, something that I would remember. And this is made, of course, of popcorn stabs, and it looks simple, but it's like time consuming to add the tabs on the between rows of weaving. And, this is like, first I was making icebergs and, from white plastic bags. And so this is the kind of older one. Maybe the one in the middle is a little bit younger, maybe 2 years younger, but the another one and much, much older. So I started, my recyclable art actually with white plastic bags 20 years ago. So this is my new glacier, Magic Glacier, which I made another part, and they are joined together. But I show you the detail of it. So what is nice that it's so nice to touch, and as I always say, it's soft and crunchy at the same time. It makes like very little crunchy noise. And it's really nice. I love that. And, even if it's only white, but it shines so well. So that's another detail. And this is totally new. I made that just before the show in Canadian Tapestry Center. So they are all together. This one is on the bottom, but I don't have a good picture. but this one is on the bottom, another one on the top, and they make like 4 meters, almost over 4 meters long, you know, on the long wall. And you know, like I'm in a cooperation with my daughter Katarzyna and Nadia, who is a pianist, and you know, they were inspired by my cave. I show you in a moment. So they decided to perform time to time, exposing my pieces too. And especially they like my glaciers and icebergs. So I'm going to show you a little video. Okay, so I thought that would be a little bit fun if I, you know, like show you some fashion. So, okay, I start with this one, the dark angel dress, and you can see later my daughter is wearing this. So this is my blue angel. And, you know, this is made on the skeleton of the mannequin, the wire mannequin. And also I found on the garbage day, actually, the skeleton. And so this is the, also you can see this is the same hat that was awarded in China, and my mannequin is wearing this. You know, should I try to share like this slideshow, or it's not necessary, maybe?
Whatever you could try, and if not, we can go back. It's up to you.
You know, I am so afraid that it won't work again. Don't know what I'm doing. Oh, okay. So because you can see better. Okay, this is my daughter Katarzyna wearing my art. And you know, this is the dress made of videotape. And this one is the cape. I made several capes, and she's wearing one. This is another one. This is actually the same one. And this is the back of it. And my daughter Veronica, she lives far away, so she has 2 kids, and and she's very busy being a doctor. So she doesn't come very often, but she still likes to model for me. Oh, that's her too. And with my pink cape. And my granddaughters modeling with blue and pink. And sometimes I do it too. And my little mannequins, I dress them too. And this one was just accidentally. I just didn't delete it. But you know, it was on the show in Italy last year, and it's also it was Eco show, and this is called Mother Earth. And I used the some leftover yarn, wool, and of course the PopCap stabs. And oh, I wonder if you can hear that, because I wanted to show you cooperation with my third daughter, Justina. And this video was accepted for Canadian Culture Days, which started a few days ago. So I'm very happy that I can I can also work with her, and she's a very good artist, mostly photographer, and she embroiders sometimes of her work. We were together in several shows too. But this one, I hope you enjoyed that. But can you hear the music? No?
No.
Oh, that's okay. So this is photography, embroidered photography, her and my pieces. So we try to match together our pieces. That's too bad that we cannot hear the music. Can you hear that? Oh, okay, good. So all the voices are my daughter's voices.
This was beautiful.
I can cooperate with my children. You know, I had even with my son in the past, we had wonderful exhibits together, 4 exhibits, family exhibits. It was mother and 4 children. So that's how I started my small groups. And then later I formed the Woven Bridges group and the Harmony group. So it's like my kids are my big inspiration. So do you have any questions?
Well, I wanted to thank you first, Krystyna. These were so beautiful. I have plenty of questions. I always have questions and comments, of course. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here today. Next Monday at 4:30, unfortunately, the speaker we had scheduled had some other commitments. So that will be, it was Polly Furman from Spain. That will be postponed until the spring. So rather than just cancel Monday, we will have a kind of informal gathering of ARTIVISM and artivists. It's a kind of meet and greet. Carolina, do you want to say a little bit more about next week?
Of course, we look forward to seeing all of you there to just have a chat about ARTIVISM. If you have any, concerns, questions, how do I get it going? What if I want to do something like this in my community? Hopefully, we'll have some of the artivists present there as well. That way, they can also share their perspectives, their skills, their talents, all in a more informal conversational way. It will be at the same time, 4:30. We'll send out the invitations. We look forward to seeing you there as well.
Yeah, I would like to thank you so much for inviting me. It was a joy. And I'm sorry the music didn't work in previous video. That I should really listen to Carolina. And yeah, but at least you could see all my art. And
it was beautiful. The links are all up on our website, which you just have to Google Adelphi Artivism and it will come up. My question is, what tools do you use to weave? Are they crochet needles? Are they needles? Is it just a loom of sorts? How do you weave these?
Okay, you know what? Actually, I prepared.
Oh, beautiful.
I thought maybe you asked me the question. This is like a small piece. So small frame, you know, this is like the frame for my students I use. So for example, you know, like this is like the skeleton of the tapestry is the work, and you go with the weft, which is you go in and out, and then you go opposite, you know, between the lines. And, you know, that's what I'm using, big ones. I don't use the floor looms. I had floor loom and I made several pieces, but I like to see what I'm doing. So if you have like frame, you see, you know, how it's like the process of the tapestry or work. But, you know, some pieces I made on the square loom, or, you know, on the loom that, the frame that has nails on each side. So I can go every directions, you know. This is with my darker pieces, which you saw. So, and, you know, so it's very easy to form kind of a base with videotapes, and then you can work with the shiny threads or metallic threads, or, you know, and you can glue something on this. And but, you know, this is like regular weaving. You see the ends at the back. So this is how you start weaving, you know, like to learn weaving. But, you know, circular, you can, so for the circular weaving, you have already the frame. It's the hoop is the frame. So you start in the middle usually. So it's the easier way. And, you know, it looks sometimes that it's small, but, you know, if you go around, so you have to count this, you know, longer way, right? So, you know, and I have like small hoop. This one I made actually for the show in Poland, that it's a ribbon of hope for Ukraine, but they I had to make another piece because it was circle and they wanted to have like square and, 12 by 12. So I still have this one. And, they show you this quickly, like
Wow.
the CD. Oh, and this one, for example, is like I added CD woven on another piece. So it's like a little bit 3D. Well, I love this, the shine. And, also something like this, which has base. Oh, the little lampshade, which is like now, like, how you call this, kaleidoscope?
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
The
But
middle is really
how do you
cool.
approach the idea, Miss Ante? Like, did you prepare like thumbnail sketches, or do you just walk around, find the materials,
Usually,
and it comes to you?
it's like sometimes I think like something is guiding me, angel or something behind my back. Because sometimes I get an idea and then I put the warp on and then I start to mix thread and then, and then I'm surprised next day that what I did and then I continue, and then I'm always surprised at myself, because I don't make too many projects before, like designs, but before I did, when I started weaving. And I make some projects for my students too, but like simple ones like tree or butterfly, which is very easy to make. But usually I don't. Sometimes I have photo which I take, somewhere, and then I'm inspired by that, and then I have as a sample on the wall, and then I try to, do something,
We have one more question actually from Lini. Are all the materials you weave recycled?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that before, that I wish I could, no, maybe not. I wish I could do 100% recyclable material, work with 100% recyclable material. But sometimes I go to the store, or, to even my friend, she's also a weaver, my ex-student, and she is obsessed going to charity places and, like Salvation Army or another one. And then she's looking through the, yarn. And so sometimes I am so tempted to buy, especially the shiny thread. So I have to admit that, I feel bad, but I don't think it's cheating, I could use 100% wool, for example. I don't. So usually, the thread that is metallic thread, I buy. And I still have lots of leftover yarn from years before. And I meant to use it and mix somehow with my plastic. So,
And
but
also,
in fact, you could have like probably 100%, material out of recycling.
Also, could you expand a little bit on how this relationship with your family inspires your work? Because all throughout the presentation, the collaborations with your daughters, with your grandchildren, husband, everybody, it seems so, refreshing to hear and to see. Could you tell us a bit more about that, energy?
Yes, like probably when we had conversation, maybe I mentioned that I let my children, because when I had 4 children, and so if I concentrate only, that they be good, cooking, cleaning, and I wanted to be creative wife, I thought of course I wanted to be an artist, but not that I would think about making money out of my art, just to be, creative and around my children. And I let my children paint the walls and draw pictures on the walls, which was against the family. And that's how it started. They would leave me alone, and they felt they part of me, that they are artists too. So I could really concentrate on my weaving at that time. Yeah. So, it was wonderful because every child of my, like every kid is an artist. My son is a army captain, but what he does at home is amazing. And then my daughter, who is a doctor, like she's a gynecologist, pediatrician, and when she has time, she's always doing art, and with her children, it's like amazing. And she's much better. I would say all my kids are much better artists than I am.
Oh.
And,
And
and, and
to expand on that, to our audience here today, that will be watching on YouTube video as well, how would you put from your experience how art can transform the family setting? Like if you would have said, no, no drawing, don't do that on the wall, right? What kind of dynamic would that have caused in regards to this present kind of relationship that you all have with art and this creative spirit in the house, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how has art transformed your family, basically, right?
yeah, like sometimes it was like a little bit like they were like a little bit like my friends, but we came to Canada in 1989, so that was over 30 years ago. And so we didn't have much, like we didn't have furniture. So we had art, and this is like we brought with some art with us. And so I think that was like it was the wonderful connections. My kids, they always appreciate that, what they had when they were kids, and my husband also, he was very famous athlete, and so we travel a lot. We travel from one country to another, finally in Canada. And so art always help us, all of us, to heal some nostalgia, or because they like, especially to older kids, they were like 11 and 13 when they left Poland. So it was maybe they left friends behind, and it was probably hard for them too. But at the same time, I taught them that this was a big adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And they had art in high schools, and and it was only Justina who finished visual art at the university, but still she worked, as a different, she has different professions. Still, she's an artist and exhibiting too. But so I think that it's nice because, like I had a friend who said that my husband tells children that you have to guys go on the moon to be compared with your mother. And I thought it was like heartbreaking for me to hear that, like you cannot treat kids like that. I was treated like that when I was a kid, that what do you think? You're nothing, like you are just a kid. And my mom had unfinished business with art, but never encouraged me to do art. So I thought I would be totally different with my children, to build like strong connection with my kids. And I think it helps.
Definitely, yes, yes. And there are other points here that are so fascinating for our audience. I would like to just take a second to say hi and thank you to all the audience members, so many from around the world. I noticed a couple from Greece, so that's about what, like 12 o'clock over there at the moment, right? So thank you for the troopers staying up that late. Wonderful.
It's
I know
1 o'clock. It's
1
after
o'clock
midnight.
almost. Imagine that. So Sunday we have people at 1 o'clock coming in for your talk today. And some of them are artists. Just unmute yourself if you have a question or so. But one that comes to mind is like you as a mother, a wife. Now you're pursuing an international career in the arts because you mentioned so many accolades worldwide, right? So many countries, and some people think I cannot do that, right? I have to put maybe my family first or my career. I have to make a selection. Would you like to maybe share a couple of how were you able to manage both and reach this level of artistic excellence?
Yeah, like I have to say that a family always came first. I would always sacrifice things. I was supposed to, it was like the emergency kind of at home, and I was supposed to send application for art or for art exhibit or something, and then I wouldn't have time. So, and I didn't regret, because I always knew that there will be the time that my kids will grow up and and make their own life, and so that's, and then I'm so happy because I have both. I have children and my art, but in fact some people think they cannot have both because they have to concentrate on art, so they don't have time for the family. But I think I am so proud that maybe, I think, maybe because I let them be artists too. So they had lots of like time instead of going somewhere, uh, we were very close together, so they didn't do bad things.
That's wonderful. We
Thank
always
you
have,
so much.
no, thank you. And we always have in Artivism like a key takeaway from our speakers. What would you say yours is for today? One action item that you would like to leave the audience pondering about, like an advice item that you would say,
Oh,
this is
the
what I would
advice.
say,
Oh,
keeping in
okay,
mind,
yes.
that is Artivism, all this transformation. Like, what would you leave us with in regards to one piece of advice to everybody?
Like if you would like to create for yourself. Don't think first about selling your art. Make a gift for yourself and try to be free, and try to, like to make, if you make mistakes, don't feel bad, and don't try to do always masterpieces, because sometimes you go back and they said it wasn't so bad. Don't try to destroy your pieces. So that's what I would say, and I'm so glad that, like I could talk to you, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. It's a joy for me.
Thank you. Thank you. It's our pleasure. Professor Archie?
Sure. Thank you, Krystyna. Thank you. I can relate so
Very
much.
well.
I can relate so much to what you have said about your children. I mean, I was working at a drafting table many, many, many years ago doing technical drawing. I had my daughter, she had her own easel next to my easel in my drafting table, and she always had the same materials I used, right? She didn't want the Crayola, she wanted the real paintbrushes and the
Yes.
real markers. So yeah, I mean, although
Mhm.
I'm the only, I guess, working artist, my children, my grandchildren, are very creative. So yes, thank you for today. Thank you, Adelphi University, our sponsors, Sync for Hope, Gottesman Libraries. Thank you to Stephanie Lake. Thank you, everyone. Please join us again next week at 4:30, which will be, a little bit informal, but it'll give us the opportunity to chat like it's like we're having coffee hour. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Krystyna. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.